Evaluation question 1. In what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? The three main media texts that I'm going to be talking about and referencing to today are my short film, my poster and my magazine. There was a theorist called Abercrombie who said the reason why we follow conventions of real media products is so that we can ensure we have a safe media product. Putting this into context, not only did I have to follow the conventions of my chosen genre, comedy genre, but I also had to follow the conventions used across all films. We can see the use of genre conventions through the use of characters and the way that the dialogue is portrayed through the situation in the film. Putting the other two media products aside, the first analysis that I'm going to be doing is a 4-part, arguably 5, analysis for my film explaining each of the conventions in greater detail. I'm doing this to help establish how these conventions were used to help define my chosen genre, but also define my film. Throughout the film, I used a wide variety of camera shots. Starting with the intro, for example, one of the main shots that I used was the dolly/tracking shot. The reason why I used this shot rather than using a series of short stills was because I wanted to create the feeling that the audience was walking alongside both characters. There were also shots that I used that were conventional to all media products, e.g. the use of shot reverse shot throughout the dialogue scene, wide shots with pans, and also handheld camera work towards the end of the film during the death scene. The main reason I used a wide shot towards the beginning of the film was to help establish the location, but to also, more importantly, tell the viewers that they've finally arrived at their location. When filming the dialogue scene, I also wanted to use a variety of different medium close-up shots and close-up shots. I did this because there were certain shots where I wanted to capture Rupert and Jack's physical behaviour, as well as Rupert and Jack's physical emotion, and some shots where I only wanted to capture either Rupert or Jack's face. As I talked about the use of a wide shot at the beginning of the film to help establish the location, I also used it towards the end of the dialogue scene, the only difference being that this wide shot included a pan. I did this because I wanted to show the characters moving from one location to the next, whilst managing to add a sense of realism by capturing the dialogue from both characters as they transition from one location to the next. In the case of After You, being outside the conference door to the main gates after having been locked out of the conference. Throughout the death scene, I used a combination of handheld and tripod shots. I did this because some of the shots that I had included in part of the scene were ones that I couldn't have achieved if I had used a tripod, and I also wanted to show the gate crushing scene as being a fast-paced scene. A scene where Jack gets crushed after having looked and smiled at Rupert. I also wanted the scene to be a fast one because I wanted Jack to have a quick turnover, a sudden realization that he was now in the same position and crushed just as Rupert had been crushed by the car. The sound as well as the camera work was another major part of the filming process. One of the main parts of the sound that helped establish the film was the sound effects. The use of sound effects helped emphasize certain scenes, e.g. the door locking sound effect help emphasize the door being locked/closed on Rupert and Jack, meaning they've missed their lecture, or the death scene when you see Jack's reaction to the car crash. Hearing the non-diegetic sound of the car crash helps emphasize that Rupert's been hit by a car. The editing, different to the sound and camera work, was a challenging part of the process. Although certain films or certain directors have a certain way of editing their film or representing their films, when it came to the editing process of After You, I edited it by following the common conventions of editing techniques, as well as applying specific techniques. Some of the main techniques that I used were the use of shot reverse shot and cutting on action. Cutting on action was the first editing technique that I introduced within the film. I used cutting on action because it helped establish the dialogue scene was about to begin. The use of cutting on action is seen when Rupert and Jack both arrive at the conference and grab the door handle. I knew that as soon as they grabbed the door handle, I could cut to the medium shot of them releasing their hands from the door handle. This helped establish to the audience that something was about to happen / dialogue was about to come. From the medium shot, I was then able to go into the medium close-up and close-up shots of the dialogue scene, making it feel natural, using continuity. The use of mise en scène also played another important role in my film, as well as the camera work, sound, and editing. It helped establish both my characters and define who they are. When thinking about the clothing in particular from the mise en scene, I can say that I definitely took inspiration from the typical good vs bad or evil movies, simply because I knew that I wanted to show contrast and portray one person as being more dominant than the other, or seen as more important. In After You notice that as the conversation develops, Jack becomes more dominant and superior to Rupert. We see this through the use of clothing and props such as the shoes, the glasses, and the briefcase. Throughout the dialogue scene, as the tension builds up between both Rupert and Jack, we see Jack putting on his glasses, suggesting to the audience and the viewer that he's become more dominant than Rupert. Another example is the use of suits. Both Rupert and Jack wear suits throughout the film, but Jack acts in a way that his suit is more Gucci and rich style type clothing, comparing it to Rupert's, thinking that he bought a cheap suit and tie. Moving on to my poster, I used a wide variety of conventions such as imagery, the poster title, short film logos, a credit block / filling block, the main actors' names at the top of the poster, and a subheading / subtitle. These are all conventions that are found in typical posters, no matter what genre. The first clear example that you notice within my film is the conventional use of the film title. The film title is a big name at the top of the poster that is used to name the film. They tend to be short and relating to the film. This meant that when I was trying to choose my title for my film poster, I had to look inside my film and try and find the title that was either from one of the lines spoken within the film, or a title that related to the themes of the film, hence the name of the film being After You. Putting all this into short, I was trying to make a film poster that the reader would remember. Looking at my poster, it was a very simple but powerful poster. Compared to other posters, I wanted to create a poster that was different but matched with the theme. To do this, I had to consider a wide variety of colours, font styles, and font sizes. For the title, I wanted to use a cursive font because I wanted to emphasise the lecture as being a formal one, but also emphasise the comical side to the film, showing how they're both trying to be formal, but it turns out to be comical between the two characters. As well as the title, I also made sure that I included a subheading below it. The subheading was something that I wanted to relate to the film by pulling out one of the themes. In the case of After You, we know that in the dialogue scene, Rupert and Jack are both in a rush to get through the door, so I created the caption, "Slow and steady wins the race," suggesting to the viewer that although both of them are rushing, sometimes you don't need to be the fastest person to win the race, nor the first person. The short film logos was something that I knew I was going to include into my poster, because not only was I following the conventions of a poster, but I was following the conventions of a short film poster. That being said, we had to create our own short film festival awards to include in our posters. So some examples of the awards that I included into my poster were Best Film Award Snowfest or Best Actor Fine Arts Fest. This helped in defining that my film was a short film whilst following the conventions of one. The reason short film awards are typically included on the film poster is because they think that if their film features an award on it from a well-known festival, that they will gain more publicity. On the other hand, the credit block was a convention that is used across all posters rather than the short film award logos. Although the logos are also common to some degree in feature films, they don't feature a predominant role in them, as the film is usually produced by a well-known director and features well-known actors. The credit block is at the bottom of the poster and features a small type font but narrow text that explains all the people who played a part in the filming process, from the production of it right through to the distribution of it. The definition of a billing block is a performing arts term that is used in referring to the order of other aspects of how credits are presented for plays, films, television, or other creative works. Information given in billing usually consists of the company's actors, directors, producers, and other crew members. Looking back at this, I feel that I have followed the conventions of a billing block because I listed all the characters, directors, producers, and other members. I also managed to make it look professional and exactly like the credit block seen on a feature film poster by using a font called Steel Tongs. It had preset words built into it, so if I typed the letter A lowercase, then it would generate a preset narrow font that said written by, but then when I pressed A with capital letters, it would generate the letter A. This helped me because it saved time of having to go and make each individual word a different size, as it already defaults the size between each font, the size between the written by and the capitalized letters. The magazine was something that I knew was more challenging than the film and the poster. I knew that there weren't any problems designing the layout and following the conventions of a real magazine, such as the title of the magazine, the choice of colours, and the positioning of images. When trying to find the right image to include at the top of my magazine, I knew that I wanted to use an image from the movie that showed powerful emotions from one of the characters, in this case Rupert being the main image. I also followed other conventions such as the use of a short information tab describing the various features/parts of a film, such as the director, age rating and shortened version of the film's biography, a pull quote, the film title and the picture description. The pull quote was used to depict an excerpt that has been pulled from the article, using it as a large graphical element to attract the readers. The quote was one of the most distinctive features compared to the other features, as it was made with a large font size. As well as following these conventions from the Total Film Review, I knew that I just didn't follow them for the sake of following them. I knew that by following these conventions and including them in my magazine, I was again ensuring that I had a safe media product. One of the conventions of a magazine, and probably arguably the main convention, is the way that the review is written. Magazine reviews tend to be written in a certain format that looks at the different themes within the article, tells the audience what the film's about, and sums up a conclusion on whether the film's worth watching in the cinemas. In conclusion, I feel that I have created successful media products and shown good, clear examples as to how my media products relate to other real media products, and have managed to become successful based on the conventions that I followed. Though, I feel, had I had more time, I would have been able to perfect my media products, tweaking little adjustments to ensure that they have been produced to the best standard.